So, what if you could actually separate the two halves of your soul? I mean, really isolate every dark impulse, every single shameful desire you've ever had, and put it into a separate being, leaving you free to be purely good. This isn't just a horror story. It's really the account of a failed spiritual experiment, and it's a map of the civil war that rages inside every single one of us.
You know, the story starts not with a person, but with a feeling of just pure revulsion. Everyone who lays eyes on Mr. Edward Hyde feels it. They see a man who is somehow misshapen, just detestable and fundamentally wrong, and yet they can never, ever name a single physical flaw. His evil isn't something you see, it's something you feel. And right there, that's the question that just haunts the foggy streets of Victorian London. In a world of good and bad, of all these gray areas and mixed motives we all live in, how can one person exist as the pure, undiluted essence of malice? Well, this is the mystery that Dr. Jekyll's friends are about to unravel. Okay, so our first real clue shows up on this otherwise prosperous London street where this one, single, sinister-looking door just stands out. It's neglected, it's blistered, it doesn't even have a knocker. This door, as we're about to find out, is the entrance to the story's central horror. A witness tells this absolutely chilling story. In the dead of night, a small, strange man just calmly tramples a young girl and leaves her screaming on the ground. When a crowd corners him, he shows zero remorse. He just disappears behind that sinister door and comes back with a check for £100. And get this, it's signed by none other than the celebrated Dr. Henry Jekyll. The man's name is Hyde. The mystery just got a whole lot deeper. To understand the monster, we have to understand his creator. So let's go to the source of all this darkness, the brilliant, respected, but privately tormented Dr. Jekyll, who believed he had found a chemical solution to a deeply spiritual problem. Jekyll's entire experiment is built on this one radical idea, that the human soul is a battleground, a place where two distinct identities, one noble, the other depraved, are locked in this constant, agonizing struggle. He didn't want to destroy his evil side. He wanted to set it free. You see, this wasn't about creating a disguise. It was about purification. Imagine, Jekyll thought, if the good self could pursue virtue without being dragged down by temptation, and the evil self could indulge all its desires without the burden of guilt. A perfect separation. I mean, it was a tragically logical ambition. Now, this is so crucial. Jekyll and Hyde are not simple opposites. Dr. Jekyll is the original compound, a mix of good and evil, just like all of us. But Hyde is something totally new. He is the pure distillation of every wicked impulse Jekyll has ever had, now given its own body and its own name. And this just brilliantly illustrates the true nature of what's happening here. Every time Jekyll drank that potion, he wasn't putting on a mask. No, he was uncaging a beast that had always lived inside him. Hyde is the person Jekyll was when no one, not even his own conscience, was watching. The freedom Jekyll was looking for was, well, intoxicating. But it came at an absolutely terrible price. The very experiment that was meant to give him control over his nature ended up costing him control over everything. And initially it worked. As Hyde, Jekyll could indulge in all the undignified pleasures he secretly craved, all while his public reputation remained spotless. He could commit the sin and then transform back, leaving the guilt, in a way, with a totally different person. It was the perfect crime against his own soul. And then comes the moment the horror truly begins. One morning, Jekyll wakes up and sees a hand on his bedsheet, a lean, knuckly, hairy hand. It is the hand of Edward Hyde. He had gone to sleep as himself and woken up as the other, without even taking the potion. The evil was getting stronger. The cage was breaking. After this terrifying incident, Jekyll vows to suppress Hyde forever. For 2 months, he lives this exemplary life. But the beast inside is starving, and one night, in a moment of weakness, he takes the potion again. On this night, Hyde runs into Sir Danvers Carew, a kind, white-haired man of high standing, and the man's only offense is to politically ask for directions. Hyde, just enraged by months of suppression, completely explodes, As a maid watches in horror from her window, he beats the old man to death with a heavy cane, clubbing him to the earth with what she can only describe as ape-like fury. The evil is no longer just indulging in secret vices, it has escalated to motiveless, brutal murder. And just like that, the game is over. The transformation is no longer a source of freedom, it's a death sentence. Jekyll now has to remain himself permanently, or else Edward Hyde will be captured and hanged. His laboratory, which was once a place of liberation, has become a cell where he has to fight a losing battle against the monster emerging from within. The story, even though it was written way back in 1886, feels so deeply relevant because Jekyll's experiment reveals a fundamental truth about human psychology. His failure is a timeless warning for all of us. Let's break this down into a really clear framework. First, Jekyll proves that you can't just cleanly separate good and evil. They're interwoven. Second, by giving his dark side a separate life, he didn't exhaust it, he nourished it, until it grew strong enough to take over. And third, the intense repression of his desires is precisely what caused Hyde to emerge roaring. And this brings us to our own lives. We all have a version of this duality, don't we? We carefully construct our public Jekyll, our perfect online profiles, our professional selves, but we all have a private Hyde, the thoughts, the fears, the impulses that we keep locked away. The danger Jekyll faced is the exact same one we face, that the carefully constructed persona is not the whole story. In his final confession, Jekyll writes these haunting words. And this is the ultimate fear at the very heart of the book, that slow, creeping realization that the worst version of yourself might not just be a part of you, but might one day become all of you. So the story really forces us to look inward and ask a pretty difficult question. What are our own hidden impulses? What part of our own nature do we try to ignore, to suppress, to keep behind that sinister locked door? In the end, Jekyll's great mistake was believing that goodness was about elimination. The real lesson of his tragedy is that moral strength isn't found in being pure, it's found in knowing the darkness within you and choosing every single day not to let it win.